excited to break down another historical weekend in the box office. Welcome back, everyone, to Max Talks Box Office here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinnenberg. Welcome, guys, to the channel and this video I do every single Monday. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the box office weekend, the final one for the entire weekend in July, as it'll be July 24th to 26th. I'll be breaking down, looking at the worldwide and domestic numbers this year, and previewing the final technical box office weekend in the month of July, as this Friday is July 31st. So welcome back in, and let's get started to talk about another historic box office weekend, because at number one, of course, is the Odyssey in its second weekend in theaters from Universal, only dropping 29.6% in its second weekend. The movie made $87 million this weekend, one of the biggest second weekend openings ever for a movie. The film now is already up to 286 million domestic and a whopping $640 million. It's been in theaters for 2 weekends, and the Odyssey, as I said, could happen, which was no movie wanted to be counter-programming in between the Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day. There was basically a free pass from Hollywood for the Odyssey to really start banking in that money. And what we're also seeing a lot of is IMAX, especially 70 millimeter showings, being sold out for weeks. People are actually waiting to see the Odyssey in IMAX, in Dolby, in these premiere platforms and premiere viewing watches for this film. And you usually don't see that. Even for movies that promote themselves as view it in IMAX because we shot it in IMAX, this movie is having people wait multiple weekends just to see it in people's eyes, the proper format. Like here in Philadelphia, there's like one major IMAX, and it's sold out for weeks now into mid-August. For IMAX 70 millimeter. I'm sure that's the case in New York, Los Angeles. That bodes very well for the Odyssey, even with Spider-Man Brand New Day hitting theaters this weekend. Again, the Odyssey is on track to get to 1.3 billion, which would not just be the biggest movie of this year so far, but also would it be Christopher Nolan's biggest film of his career. He's had $2 billion movies, The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, which Dark Knight Rises got to like $1.08 billion. So the Odyssey will be more likely Nolan's highest grossing film. Amazing numbers. Now, again, we will see how its third weekend is, because again, Spider-Man Brand New Day is supposed to be the biggest opening, could open to near 700, 800 million just in its opening weekend, are the reports from today. So we'll see if that really affects the Odyssey. I think we all expect the Odyssey to do great this weekend with literally no new competition hitting theaters, but this movie continues to dominate, and the word of mouth also continues to be unanimously positive. At number two this past weekend was Moana, the live action film, is in its third weekend from Disney, only dropping another 41%, 10.5 million for Moana. It's up to 102 domestic and 228 worldwide. Now, again, this movie cost $250 million. This movie is still going to lose the studio hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, yes, is it holding up very well? It is. It has not suffered a major drop in its second or third weekend. The problem is it just didn't open big enough. And Disney, again, with a $250 million budget, needs to cross at least like 620 just to break even. This movie is not even at its budget right now. More or less breaking even. So Moana is going to be a big money loser for Disney. I know some people are trying to play nice and say, well, it's not embarrassing itself, but I sure hope Disney, I think, definitely thought that they were going to open bigger than to still be in its third weekend, just crossing 100 million domestic. Toy Story 5, though, for Disney is doing very well. It's in its sixth weekend, and it made $10 million, only a 27% drop. And Toy Story 5 is now the biggest movie of the year, both domestic and worldwide, as it has crossed $1 billion. That is the third consecutive film in the franchise, if you don't include Lightyear. In the main Toy Story franchise, Toy Story 3, 4, and 5 are all billion-dollar films. The fact that it's a month and a half into its run and it's still making $10 million is extremely impressive. Out of all the family movies, Minions and Monsters, and Moana, and this This movie completely cakewalked both those films. Now, it had the advantage of being out in the month before those two other films, but it has completely dominated. The word of mouth is great. Seems like everyone loves it. And the fact that it's another billion-dollar film shows that Pixar was right, maybe, to do Inside Out 2, billion-dollar film, Toy Story 5, billion-dollar film as well. The only new release that got into the box office top 5 this weekend was the Hadestown the Musical. So this is a filmed version of the original Broadway that they put in theaters for Bleecker Street. It made $9 million this weekend. So again, this is another new format. We have seen concert movies do very well. We've seen faith-based movies do really well. We're seeing a lot of different mediums get their way into the box office. Obviously, the Hamilton performed version did very well on Disney Plus during the pandemic. Hadestown doing very well, as is the only new movie that did anything this weekend. So the question is, will more Broadway adaptations, will they just film themselves and put it in theaters more? That is going to be an interesting thing. And I'm not so familiar with the Broadway community. I know this is like a death penalty for people to do this, but I think it did very well. They should be very happy with themselves. And wrapping up the top 5 is Minions and Monsters in its 4th weekend from Universal. It only dropped 29.4%. Minions and Monsters made 9.6 million for the weekend. It's up to 155 domestic and 411 million worldwide. Again, as I've said for a month straight, this will easily be the lowest grossing film of the franchise after Minions made $1 billion and Minions Rise of Gru got to like 950 million worldwide. It's still 500 million behind the last film. Again, this movie though is shockingly very cheap. It's like $85 million to make, especially compared to a lot of other animated films that have hit theaters like Hoppers and Toy Story, and even like the live action Moana. So Minions Monsters is a profitable movie. It just isn't the absolute success that the last two films were. When we look at the domestic box office this year, as I said, Toy Story 5 is now at number 1 for domestic, passing the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Michael's at 3, Project Hail Mary at 4. The Odyssey in 2 weekends is the 5th highest grossing film of the year here domestically, which is again the United States and Canada. Obsession, which is now available on Peacock, is at number 6. Devil Wears Prada 2 is at 7. Backrooms 8. Mando and Grogu at 9. And Hoppers at number 10. Looking at the worldwide numbers here this year, as a Toy Story 5 just passed Super Mario as well. It's $11 million above it. It's at number 1. Michael is also in the $1 billion club. It's at 3. So here we are in late July, $3 billion movies. I think we're going to get 4 very soon. Project Hail Mary is at 5. Devil Wears Prada at 2 at 4. We have Odyssey already at number 7 worldwide. That's when you combine the international and the domestic box office. Obsession's at 8. Minions and Monsters at 9, and Backrooms just now over Hoppers is into the top 10 worldwide. So hitting theaters this weekend is Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is reportedly going to be the biggest opening by a mile this year here in theaters. Again, the last 2 Spider-Man movies both got to over $1 billion. Spider-Man Far From Home 2019, I think it helped that movie that it was the film after Avengers Endgame. But Spider-Man No Way Home was one of the biggest cultural movie events of all time at the end, I guess, of the pandemic era in 2021. Spider-Man Brand New Day is very secretive. Everyone's pumped. It's the most popular superhero probably of all time. It's hitting theaters, and we could have a historic weekend because obviously Tom Holland and Zendaya and John Bernthal, by the way, are all also in the Odyssey. So they're going to be in 2 of the biggest movies of 2026. And Zendaya, by the way, still has Dune Part 3 hitting theaters later this year. The only counter-programming for Spider-Man Brand New Day is a limited release movie that's hitting theaters this weekend, which is I Want Your Sex. That's a new film starring Olivia Wilde and Cooper Hoffman. So that's Mash Talks box office. My videos, guys, for the week. You're getting my box office breakdown today. Also, I'm going to the AMC Screen Unseen tonight, which reportedly is the new rom-com movie, One Night Only. No matter what, I'm going to the movies tonight, so you'll get my out-of-theater reaction tonight. Tuesday afternoon, you'll get my review for the movie tomorrow. Wednesday, I should have a review for the new Netflix film, 72 Hours. Thursday, I'm seeing the movie at 5 o'clock. I'm going to get my out-of-theater reaction on Thursday night for Spider-Man Brand New Day. My review will be on Friday, and I think my full spoiler review for Spider-Man Brand New Day will be on Saturday. Plus, this week, I'm dropping a full spoiler review for Season 5 of The Bear on my Patreon. I'm going to do a Spider-Man Brand New Day, Spider-Man ranking One of them will be for Patreon, which will be, I think, all the Spider-Man movies. My main channel will have the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies ranked here on the channel. So subscribe to my Patreon, subscribe to my YouTube channel, help me get to 500 subscribers. We're under 10 away, so please help me get there. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another fun video very soon.